fun to have my friends in the legislature here. So Hasselbeck and Pay and Caldwell, thank you for your friendship and your leadership and representing your constituents so well. So it's great to see you guys here. Thanks for being here. You know, I get to do so many cool things as governor, and Brad was telling me I've been married for 25 years, and my wife and I have 6 children. But I did not realize when I became governor, it was going to make me a better parent. You see, I've got a son that joined the Army, and we're so proud of him, and we went to his swearing-in ceremony. And when you swear in the Army, you promise to obey the President of the United States and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And here's my 18-year-old son, because he was also joining the Oklahoma National Guard. With his hand in the air, he promises to obey the commands of the governor of the state of Oklahoma. So, of course, I've been wearing him out with that one, and I polish my boot soldier, and wash my truck, and he's been rolling his eyes with that. It's a lot of fun. But, you know, I believe we all want the same thing in Oklahoma. I tell people all the time, let's let Washington, D.C. play politics. Let's just make Oklahoma a top 10 state. And those 4 things that I always tell people to focus on. Number 1 is our education system. We all want the best education for our kids. We all want the best access to health care. We want the best infrastructure, roads and bridges. And we want the best economy. And you guys all in here are moving the needle in Lawton, Oklahoma. And as a matter of fact, the stats I just saw, we have 13,000 new people moving to Lawton. And Oklahoma now is top 10 in people moving to our state. For the first time ever, out of all the states, not per capita, but true numbers, did you know we're top 10 in net migration? We've never had that before. It's just amazing. Do you know what state we get most people from? Take a guess, anybody? California, that's exactly right. So I get these people, there's probably going to be some in the room today that come up to me. And they'll say, Governor, we're one of these Californians that moved to Oklahoma. And here's what I tell them. I said, listen, I had to wait 18 years to vote in Oklahoma. I'm going to make you wait 18 years. That's just a joke. I'm just kidding, okay? But they very quickly say, no, we see what's happening in towns like Lawton and Oklahoma, and we want to be part of it. The business-friendly approach that you have, the family focus, and it just makes me so proud to see our state growing and thriving like that. But, you know, you cannot have a top 10 state without a top 10 workforce, and then without a workforce, you have to have a top 10 education system. So I was so happy last year working with your legislature, the Senate and the House, that we got across the finish line a great education package. As you know, we have put in the last 5 years, my 5 years as governor, we've put more money in public education than the 25 years before I became governor. This is something we want to continue to invest in. We actually increased it about 20% last year. And at the same time, we got across the finish line what we call school choice. And we believe that every parent, regardless of income, should choose what is the best opportunity and the best option for their kids. And so now there's going to be a refundable tax credit for every single family, that if your zip code school is not meeting the needs, or there's a better option, or your kid has a special learning or needs some kind of special help, you can go to any school that you want. We think that's so important, because I tell people all the time, school choice should not be just for the rich, it should be for every single family. And we're excited to get that across the finish line. The other thing that I always encourage our education community is we want every student in Oklahoma to be college ready or career ready when they graduate from high school, okay? So pretty simple concept, but when these kids graduate from high school, did you know about 52% of Oklahoma high school graduates will go on to college, okay? And that's great. We need more engineers, we need more doctors, and I was going to say lawyers, but we really don't need more lawyers. Just kidding, you're lawyers. But we want every kid ready for the workforce, the other 48% that aren't going to go to college. And so we set up, I went to Norman High School, graduated from Norman High, and matter of fact, back in the day, we played Lawton Ike, and Lawton Ike, my senior year, was the mythical national champions. If anybody's that old, remember that, in 1990, they were, Coach does. I think they were going to set it up as a charter school, which we can talk about that in a second, but Norman wanted to be a part of that. And so now it's an aviation academy. And if you want to become an A&P mechanic, or if you want to become a pilot, you can start going to this special high school as a junior, and by the time you graduate, you're an A&P mechanic. And you know what American Airlines in Tulsa employs 5,000 people. Their CEO and all their leaders met with me. They said, Governor, do you know what we pay at starting salary for an A&P mechanic? And they said $70,000 a year. I went home and told my son, you're going to become an A&P mechanic. It is amazing opportunities. Within 5 years, they're making over $100,000 a year. Tinker Air Force Base. That industry, aerospace and defense, you know about that here from Lawton, but that is a huge industry for our state. So we want to align our education system with those jobs of tomorrow. Santa Fe South is a charter school. We love charter schools. Charter schools are public schools with private management or community management. Santa Fe South Charter School in South Oklahoma City, I like to brag on them for a second. How many kids do you think go to Santa Fe South? 4,600 kids are going to Santa Fe South. I had no idea. That is a huge school district. Nobody's forced to go there. You can go to the zip code school in South Oklahoma City, but these parents are choosing this school because it is a better option. They're getting better outcomes. Guess what? Competition is making everybody better. So we love charter schools in Oklahoma as well. And just like those schools, Dove Science Academy, I could go on and on. But workforce, when you think about aligning education system with the workforce, let's look at the jobs that we need in Lawton, and let's look at the jobs we need in Oklahoma City and all across our state, and let's make sure that we start getting that workforce aligned. So this past year, we created the Workforce Transformation Task Force. I restructured my cabinet and just appointed a Secretary of Workforce, and I put Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell as our new Secretary of Workforce to align all that. And when I say align, I want to give you one other story that I love to share. So the hospitals came to me when I first became governor in 2019. They said, Governor, we need more nurses. And I said, okay, no problem. I'm the governor, and we can go figure this out. So I went to the nursing schools. And I went to the University of Oklahoma, and I said, hey, we need more nurses. Tell me how many you're training per year. And they gave me the numbers. They said, well, we're training about 250 nurses every year. I said, well, they need more. How many applicants are you getting? And they said, well, we get about 600. And I said, well, why aren't you accepting it? Well, Governor, you don't understand. There's student to faculty ratios. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Well, sometimes in business, you have to ask 3 or 4 questions deep, or otherwise you get spun in the circle. Has anybody ever experienced that? So I keep asking questions, and I keep pushing. And I keep saying, well, we need it in the workforce. We have to align our education system. So I go to Texas A&M. What's your student to faculty ratio in your nursing programs? And keep pushing. My favorite press conference that I did was with Joe Harris at the University of Health Science Center in their nursing program a couple of years ago. And they had 550 applicants for their nursing. And guess how many they accepted? All 550. And then they did it again this next year. They just texted me a picture of 600 nursing students. So you need to work with your universities, and you need to work with our career techs, and the business community needs to set up these programs. They want to work with you. We have all these dollars in the state government that we want to align with what the jobs in Lawton, Oklahoma are to make sure that we're training that workforce. Because let me just tell you something. If you get the workforce here, I've met with Elon Musk, and I've met with these big leaders, and that's the first question they ask. Can they get the workforce here? So that is such a focus for myself for the next 3 years of our administration. So how else do we become business friendly? Make sure that businesses continue to come here. I believe we need great regulation. We need to make sure that we are fair with everything. We never play gotcha with companies, so I always am talking about regulation and making sure that we have a level playing field. But also, we need to be competitive on a tax basis. So I've been pushing hard to slow the growth of government and make sure that we can do a tax cut back to the taxpayers. And so I'm asking the legislature to cut 1/4 or 1/2 point of income tax. We butt up against Texas. Texas has 0. If you look at the states that are growing the most, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, what do they all have in common? They have a 0 income tax. And let me make sure everybody understands me really clearly. I would never, ever ask us to cut revenue below expenses, okay? And so I'm going to tell you kind of my thought process and my movie. When I first became governor, we had 0 money in savings. We were having $1 billion budget deficits. Governor 2018 teacher walkouts happening. It was kind of chaos. And I raised my hand and ran for governor because I love my state. And I thought that we needed more of a business approach and a fresh set of eyes. Today, we have the largest savings account in state districts, over $5 billion, okay? We've invested in our law enforcement. We've invested in our education. So we got $5 billion in savings. But what do we do when we keep having more revenue than our expenses, okay? So, for example, we have, let's say we spend $9 billion, okay? That's about what our spend is. Use round numbers. I've got real numbers here in a second. $9 billion. If you have $10 billion in revenue, that's $1 billion more than your expenses. What do you want me to do with that? Okay? You're the taxpayer, it's your money. We can spend it, we can raise expenses, we can save that $1 billion. Well, we've already got $5 billion in savings. Pretty soon the citizens will be saying, Governor, how much money do you need in savings? We can do a combination of it, or we can give some of it. We can realize we have too much revenue. We don't want to keep raising expenses. Let me give you another example. 2010 to 2022. What do you think the population growth is of Oklahoma? 8.5%. Okay, so if you look at that on the graph, 2010 to 2022, we grew 8.5%. So, of course, we need to grow services 8.5%. Okay, well, what about inflation, Governor? Okay, throw in some CPI. How big should government be? Did you know from 2010 to 2022, our government spending has increased almost 100%? That's what I'm trying to slow down. Because if we keep raising expenses every year to meet the revenue, we will be in trouble when I'm out of office at some point. Because eventually, revenue doesn't just always go up in a straight line. I'm trying to slow the growth of government. So it does a couple things. It does that, but it also makes sure that the world knows that Oklahoma is one of the most business-friendly states in the country. So that's why I'd love for you to have, for your support to do another tax cut as long as we have excess revenue coming into the state. The other thing that I think is so important just to touch on real quick that our state is facing, the challenge that we're facing, is the Strobel case. Has everybody heard about the McGirt case, McGirt decision? Well, the Strobel case is it's really going to affect our state if we don't get our arms around what does the state of Oklahoma look like, what new jurisdiction looks like going forward. So the Strobel case is an Indian in eastern Oklahoma, Tulsa, and I always preface when I say Indian because Kevin Stitt is an Indian. I've got my Cherokee card, my 6 children are Indians. So we're just all Oklahomans. I grew up here, I'm a 4th generation, I went to Norman High School, started a business, become governor, okay? There's an Indian in Tulsa named Strobel, and she lives in a regular neighborhood in South Tulsa, and she says she doesn't have to pay state income tax. Taxes are for public services. Taxes are because we all drive on the same roads, because we all go to the same high schools, because we all have the same services. And this is before the state Supreme Court right now. I think that's a very, very important. I think the Supreme Court is going to do the right thing. But if they don't, then we have big issues. And a lot might say, well, how does it affect us? Let me tell you how it affects a lot of them. Everything is an equalization formula. Okay? If there's $1 less over in Tulsa coming in, or all of eastern Oklahoma, there's going to be $1 less money for schools allotment, or the VISTA program allotment. So that's my whole point. We have to have one set of rules. We've got to operate like we've done since 1907 and have one set of rules, regardless of your race or your heritage or where you live in the state of Oklahoma. I'll tell you this, and listen to me real close on this one. This is important. So the Navajo Reservation, okay? I'm buddies with all the governors now, so the governor of Arizona has the Navajo Reservation. The Navajo Reservation in Arizona is a reservation. It's been like that forever. All the land is held in reserve by the tribe. 99% of the people who live on that reservation are all Navajo. That is totally different than Eastern Oklahoma, called Eastern Oklahoma reservation. But it is true that Indians do not pay tax to the state of Arizona who live on the reservation. That's absolutely true, okay? So that may be what our Supreme Court says. But here's what is also true. In that state of Arizona, their highway patrol, they don't patrol the reservation. They don't build roads or bridges or schools or hospitals or airports on the reservation. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that half the citizens aren't going to pay for public services, and yet the rest of the citizens and the rest of the state are paying those same services. Okay? I feel like the lone person talking about this sometimes, that I'm the CEO of the state, and I'm just letting you know what I see. We are a representative form of government. You have to elect representatives that represent you in Oklahoma City and are making the best decision for the state of Oklahoma moving forward. So I would encourage you to study that and research it and see if, oh, Stitt just doesn't like Indians, or no, Stitt maybe sees something in the future that might affect the state of Oklahoma. Permitting reform, I've already kind of touched on that. I really believe that Oklahoma's leading the way. I'm an executive committee of the National Governors Association, so there is a bipartisan move to really push the Biden administration to help with permitting reform. That's going to help Oklahoma because we are becoming the spot for critical mineral research. We just landed USA Rare Earth. I'm talking to the administration about, I just toured Cushing, Oklahoma yesterday. Cushing, Oklahoma is the largest commercial oil reserve in the entire country, 100 million barrels. We have strategic stockpile of oil and gas. I'm pushing for Oklahoma to be in the strategic stockpile for critical minerals. We have to unwind from China. We have China right now that has us, all the minerals, the magnets, all the things that are going into our military, our cell phones, our manufacturing in China. We're trying to bring some of that supply chain closer to home. We landed USA Rare Earth in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is a huge get for us. West Wind is here. It's coming to Lawton, which we're excited about. But we think we can be a player in critical mineral, just like we've been an innovator in everything energy over the last 100 years. So we're excited about that. I'm excited to partner with you. And then Cooksey mentioned this, but you have a huge advantage with 1,000 acres of development property here. In other parts of our state don't have it. We have a big site in Pryor, Oklahoma, but that's almost getting filled up. And I think you guys have a huge opportunity. We want to really focus on your workforce and your education system to make sure you're very attractive to those companies. The Vista, we put in $20 million for ARPA to make sure that was a reality, which is a huge deal. I'm so proud of Lawton and what you've done by getting them all and turn that into Vista. I've been down here, I think 6 times for a ribbon cutting. I don't know exactly how many ribbon cuttings we've done. It's kind of a joke. Some people know about that. But no, been down here a bunch for the Vista deal. We're so excited. Lawton Fort Sill is such a huge part of our economy here, so we're excited about that. I know you guys have invested heavily in that as well. But Goodyear, Bar S Foods, Silverline Plastics, Republic Paperboard, they're all sustaining thousands and thousands of jobs. And this cluster should be able to build on itself. And Lawton is a special place in our state. I see nothing but blue skies for you guys growing when we can all work together like you guys do so well. But I want to thank the Chamber and Cameron University, Great Plains, Technology Center, Lawton Public Schools, and the Lawton Economic Development Coalition for everything that they're doing to really showcase the Lawton advantage that you guys have going on down here. So thank y'all for giving me some time to speak to you today and tell you what's happening from the Capitol. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great state of Oklahoma. Thank you so much.